So, hello everyone. In this particular videos or upcoming series, it's going to be all about a LangChain and it's an ecosystem. So, we will be learning according to while comparing with the documentation which is given by the LangChain itself. So, we'll be learning more about it in the upcoming videos. So, basically, here is the documentation available and all other details which are given. So, I'll be comparing side by side. So, we have to stay updated because the documentation is something which gets updated every kind of frequently actually because new models emerge every few seconds in the Hugging Face kind of. So let's stay updated. So starting with this, so the LangChain ecosystem itself. Firstly, talking about the LangChain platform, what is it? So this can be completely used for the software development cycle for the AI agents. So if you ask me what is a software development cycle, let me just show you. So this comprises of few things, um, which includes from planning to the other one. So software, or let me say SDLC. So it's like a loop which runs continuously where you do with starting from the information gathering, do the planning, designing, implementing, testing, and you deploy and continuously maintain. In this same case, we'll gather the information which agents to actually implement. Then we do the planning and then we design it and we implement it. Like we implement, like orchestrate, like what is going to happen. We design like the structure of the agents, and then we will finally test whether they are working properly. I'll tell you about these, what is going to do what. So even I'm in a learning stage. So if I make some mistakes, so kindly mention in the comments below so that I can pin the particular comments which are actually correcting me. So the others don't have to confuse with the false information. So it's consider the series to be like, I don't know anything and you know everything, and let's get started. So the deployment and maintenance also done here itself. So starting with this, so LangChain platform is a software development cycle, as I told you, for the AI agents. So starting with the LangChain platform, you have few things to be taken care of. So you just build, test, deploy, monitor, and also you can govern that, and also you can code no code agents. For example, here I can show you the no code agents we here, which includes like yeah, the Langsmith fleet, where you can create your own agents via a natural language thing. So it provides a lot of stuff. So we'll be going through all the way. So this is the documentation I told you, the main screen, like the main screen which opens once you open about the documentation about LangChain. So we'll be discussing about each one of them in detail in the upcoming videos. Let's this be like let make this video to be like uh, a overall workflow which we will be covering throughout the playlist. So starting with, you have the build. The first one, you can build the agents in the LangChain ecosystem. So in the building, you can use three different frameworks, which includes LangChain, LangGraph, and Deep Agents. So starting with, what is a LangChain? So LangChain is going to be, it is used for creating the LLM applications. So you can basically, which provides you like prompt templates. What is a prompt template? Like you give a template. What is a template? Basically, it is a structure. So you say, for example, the LLM, the answer or the question which is given in this format. It is in this format. The same thing you can use format function in print, right? So similarly, you can insert your own usages, like it's like dynamic prompting, okay? So it's something like dynamic prompting. So you have prompt templates. We can send it to the LLMs directly. We'll discuss about it later. And output parser, you're asking it to, you need the output in this particular format. Tools, actually, you can integrate a lot of tools, which includes like MCP servers, MCP clients. We'll be discussing about these two, and then retrievers, memory, and RAG agents. So if you see the memory here, you have to give it like explicitly. But in LangChain, you have something called as, it is stateful. Since it's stateful, you no need to actually have a memory because this has a global context memory in case of LangGraph, but LangChain doesn't have. That's why you call that to be a stateless. So that improvisation from stateless to stateful has been brought inside LangChain. So the LangChain can be used for implementing like sequential, very simple agents like agent A, next comes agent B, next comes agent C. So in such cases, you use the LangChain. So the LangChain can be helped in creating chatbots, Q&A systems, and simple RAG-based applications. And apart from that, you basically have like integrating few of the components from the LangChain. So user, he gives a prompt template, defines a prompt template, and he sends the LLM. and the LLM would pass an output to a particular answer finally. So it's like a simple workflow. Next, if you want to build a complex kind of agents, you just have to go with LangGraph then. So this supports like loops, branches. You can have so many agents also, like initialize checkpoints, and in between you can add a human approval, like the similar things. For example, you get it in the Claude or something. Whenever you message, it asks you like few of the things like you wanted to do. Even if you see anti-gravity, if you do some things in a terminal, it would ask you a permission, approve or not, yes or no. So that's kind of human approval, state management. So these things are useful. The lang graph is useful for defining the production grade AI agents. And similar to one such example I gave here, that is from the planner. Then you have planner can search some things, and you can have a calculator. It's like for creating a complex. And next comes a different one more framework, which is called as deep agents. So here you can define a higher level framework for the autonomous agents. So instead of creating graphs manually, like you have to say, okay, you have to define here, right? Lang graph. But in deep agents, it's not the same case where you have a framework for the autonomous agents. Instead of creating the graphs manually, you define a goal. For example, you tell, okay, research Tesla stock, and you're going to summarize it and create a report and email a report. That's it. And rest all is taken care by this deep agent, where it automatically plans, calls the tools, and remembers and it retries and finishes the task to reach a particular goal. So only thing you have to do is you define the goal, and the rest the agent takes care of itself. And next, going with the next one, once building the agents, the next thing is you have to test it. Like you have to evaluate how well the agents are doing with the data sets, evaluation, and prompt engineering techniques. So that includes like for the data set, you have a set of questions, and using the question instead of manually testing one by one yourself. So here, for the testing purpose, for the governance purpose, you use for monitoring purpose, you use something called as the Langsmith. So instead of manually testing, the Langsmith here inside the LangChain ecosystem automatically runs all of them. Like it runs all of the test questions, and also it evaluates the performance using some of the evaluation metrics like accuracy, latencies, and hallucinations, which is one of the most important issues which occur inside the agents or any kind of LLMs, especially. And then tool correctness and reasoning quality, how well is it reasoning, and what is the cost of which is consumed by them. So everything you compare inside the test via the Langsmith. So I told you Langsmith is used for the like the governance, testing, monitoring purposes. And finally, the prompt engineering, where you try comparing the prompts. For example, if you give prompt A and prompt B, which prompt would actually perform better? So in such case, if you see, first one is like you're helpful, and the second one is going to be like you're an expert doctor, you're an expert teacher. Then Langsmith can compare them and actually give which prompt is giving you higher accuracy. So such kind of testing, kind of, and also monitoring purposes, you do that. So the very next thing which is in the thing is deployment. So once testing, you're ready to deploy. So in the deployment stage, now your agent is ready. So deployment is like you make it available for the users in their hands. So instead of running on your laptops, you create online APIs, because what they're trying to say, like what am I trying to say here is, so generally what happens is you have it in your local system and run Python main.py, and you run that way. So this opens to a local host, right? The local host, it can be like, for example, 8,000. So this is a kind of API which is given to you to locally access the website or a web server. I mean, it's a server. Your computer is going to be the web server. The same thing when you deploy your full application. For example, you have a set of files, okay, for example, and these files would be like put into a cloud. For example, the cloud, take for example, an AWS once. So this kind of stuff, what happens is it would create EC2 servers or make it available. EC2 is like a computer. Just like computers you have now, you have it in the servers itself, computers. So these are like mini servers where you can upload your code and create an API endpoints. If you know about AWS, you must understand. And it would give you like an API endpoint, for example, for login, and for after login, the which particular login ID is open. So such kind of things would be there in the like after in the deployment stage. You can deploy to any one of the cloud server rather than like sitting inside this. Okay, so your code, you have your server, and you run into the cloud and make it available for the users. And then once deployment, you can monitor. So monitoring is something happens which is after deployment, because after deploying you can't just leave your thing as it is, because you don't know how the agents might malperform it, right? So for that cases you have to monitor the traces, like how exactly or what agent is actually called, how many failures are happening, how much token usages are happening, is latency is going on, because users can't sit and wait until your agent performs. You just have to give them a particular time to take estimated time, so user can actually be aware of what is happening. So for that cases you use this langsmith itself, which actually wherever something breaks you can know where exactly it's getting break. So here the user, like you have users, agents and logs, and you have some kind of dashboard for easy visualization, the same way you know where it's being broken down. And governance is something which has the control with the admin. For example, you can like this the land firstly the land chain, to be in short, you can actually develop agents, for example. So you have so many codes. For example, let me show you. Let me open ChatGPT itself. So I will be see okay. Give me code to use the um, OpenAI key. Don't give me Langsmith based. Yeah. So this is the code for the OpenAI. Fine. So let me just paste it at one side. So where is exactly this one? Yeah. So what is LangChain? I'm giving in short. Okay. So this is how you access. Okay. Now I'm gonna ask Anthropic key. How will I use Anthropic key? So for that, this is the code. So each one of the LLMs have been opened, like have opened their own kind of stuff here. That is, I want to access the LLMs, because these large language models, for example, are very huge, or it's actually difficult to download. So if I want to see how can I how can I see the models? For example, Olama I have in my device. Olama's memory it is consuming via these command prompt. So yeah, see, it would show something like this. Let me just open CMD. So Olama PS. So I haven't run that, I think. So I don't know how to run this. So yeah, okay, I actually have downloaded it, but nothing is there because PS is for current processes. I haven't pulled. I think Olama pull is a command, I guess. Olama run or Olama pull. I'm not sure. Okay, let's use this Olama run. Let's try Olama pull also. So see, it's about 4.7 GB. So think about this is itself like 4.7 GB, where my computer slightly lags. Think of using an OpenAI with so many billion parameters. You can't actually download it. So that's why the like the model guys or whoever created OpenAI or Anthropic team has given their API keys to access their models via this. So as they are storing the models inside the cloud environment. So of course, right? So OpenAI has their own cloud. Inside the cloud, you keep the OpenAI keys, OpenAI, and some of them have the Anthropic keys. Like Anthropic guys have kept their model inside this, and OpenAI have kept their models inside this. Now, actually, I no need to download. So how can I use it? I can access the API key of this and use it. So the user can use it inside the computer. So you don't need to actually download it, but you can actually use their weights trained on. So I can actually get the information or ask the question, a prompt, so I get the answer back. But they cost you, because using or setting up model in an like cloud or maintenance of the model takes some cost, right? For that purpose, they charge you a small amount, rather than downloading the whole models. Few open source models can be downloaded and used if you don't want to pay to their API keys. Okay, so this is how the code looks like. Now give me the code for the OpenAI and Anthropic, like two codes for with the okay, my language is bad, with LangChain. Okay, so now with LangChain, now what happens is, So I guess it's time to clear out a few stuff. So yeah. So now with LangChain, this is the code. And with LangChain for the anthropic, this is the code. So now do you find any kind of differences or anything else? So if you see here, this is like OpenAI's, you have their own things. So you have to define their OpenAI library and Anthropic team, and you have the different code. But see here, you have different things to write inside. Okay, to access also, you have to use a different command. That is output.txt and like content of zero.txt, and you have different, like each model has their own way of defining, right? So in order to standardize these stuff, LangChain has brought into the concept of this. That is a standardization it has brought to access the LLM models. So in short, let me just tell you again. So the LangChain standardizes the usage of LLMs. Okay, usage of LLMs easily. So the same code you use here, that is, you set your API key same way, and you call the OpenAI from this chat OpenAI, you get that, right? And then you set the few stuff the same way, define the parameters inside, and LLM invoke, you would ask a question to it, and you get the response in the same way. So you don't need to remember so much stuff like the actual format, how to access this. See, you have different formats, but the LangChain is able to like as you can see, the LangChain is able to standardize how the way you access the responses. So that's the thing with the LangChain. And starting with the last one, a few other things you have, like extra products like LangChain in Langsmith engine. You actually have logs, right? So in this case of using the Langsmith engine, you no need to actually see where, like you know, need to go to the logs and check. Like in the monitoring case, you went for the logs, right? In the monitoring case, you have to check the logs and stuff. But actually, you no need to go here because Langsmith engine itself automatically searches the logs and detects the errors or where actually it's malfunctioning, and you can actively like what do you say, improve the things up. So then that's it. And last one is the deep agents code, that is decode CLI, where you can run your agents via your terminal. So here the terminal, what happens is the AI would read the code first, and it would understand the and writes the code back inside the same folders via your terminal. It can run inside your terminal actually. And then you can fix bugs, and it's similar to an AI software engineer operating directly in your command line, and he's going to take care of everything. You just have to chill. Uh, and that's the overall perfect way of explaining stuff. So I hope in this particular video, you guys would have understood. God. Okay. So understood the overall stuff about the LangChain's ecosystem. In short, LangChain ecosystem consists of few things like LangChain, LangGraph, deep agents, and LangSmith. One more for this. So LangChain is for simple agents, LangGraph is for like complex agents, and deep agents, you just have to give a normal prompt that does all of your work. And one improvement over LangChain to LangGraph was the multiple or complicated graphs. And one more is this is stateless, it is stateful. That is, you have a global context, or the memory is there automatically. Okay. And that's the advantage. And we saw about the testing cases, deployment, monitoring, so governance. So these all are like all the things we have discussed is like something like an SDLC cycle, as I showed you at the start of the video. So, and guys, and that's it. That's all about the thing. Going back, that's what we have covered, the almost the first page of the stuff a lot, and let's learn about more in detail about each one of them and how to use the code or do a stuff interesting stuff later. And that's the part of the introduction video. Bye, see you next video.